Welcome to Lost at 3 a.m. Put your phone down, close your eyes, and let this be the last video you hear tonight. Relax, breathe, and let's begin. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most iconic films ever made, Titanic, a film that captivated hearts around the world, blending romance, tragedy, and history into an unforgettable cinematic experience. Released in 1997, Titanic became a cultural phenomenon, a movie that not only dominated the box office but also stayed with audiences long after the credits rolled. Directed by James Cameron, Titanic was more than just a love story. It was a meticulously crafted recreation of one of the most infamous disasters in history, all told through the eyes of two characters from completely different worlds, Jack and Rose. Their journey aboard the ill-fated ship became one of the most memorable cinematic experiences, leaving an emotional mark that still resonates today. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the making of Titanic, the unforgettable performances of Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, the groundbreaking technology used to recreate the ship, and the legacy the film has left on both the film industry and popular culture. So sit back, relax, and let's take a journey back to 1997 to revisit the tragedy, romance, and sheer brilliance of Titanic. To understand the magic behind Titanic, we must first look at the vision of the man who brought it all to life, James Cameron. Known for his ambitious and larger-than-life projects, Cameron was determined to create something truly spectacular with Titanic. He wasn't just making a film about a historical event. He was setting out to craft an epic that would resonate emotionally, visually, and historically. Cameron had always been fascinated by the Titanic disaster. In fact, he'd been obsessed with the story of the ship sinking since he was a young boy. But Titanic wasn't just about the tragedy for him. It was also about the people who lived and died on that ship, the rich and poor, the lives lost in the icy waters, and the beauty of the ship itself. He wanted to capture the scale and grandeur of the Titanic in a way that had never been done before in cinema. But even more importantly, he wanted to tell a story that connected with the audience on a personal level. While Titanic was a historical drama, Cameron knew that it needed to have a human connection. This is where the fictional romance between Jack and Rose came in. Cameron crafted these characters to represent the social divide aboard the ship, the class struggle between the upper-class passengers and the working-class ones. Through their story, he wanted to show how love can transcend boundaries, even in the face of disaster. The romance between Jack and Rose is at the heart of the film, and it's the emotional anchor that keeps viewers invested in the Titanic's tragic fate. The scope of the film's vision was truly monumental. Cameron wanted to recreate the Titanic as accurately as possible. He went to great lengths to ensure the ship's recreation was faithful to the original, even going so far as to visit the wreckage of the Titanic deep in the Atlantic Ocean. The film's attention to historical detail, from the grand staircase to the intricate design of the ship's decks, was a direct result of Cameron's meticulous approach to storytelling. In terms of technology, Cameron was once again ahead of his time. The sheer scale of the film's production required cutting-edge special effects. To bring the sinking of the Titanic to life, Cameron used a mix of practical effects, models, and computer-generated imagery, CGI. The use of CGI was groundbreaking for the time, particularly in the depiction of the ship breaking apart and sinking beneath the waves. But even with all the technology at his disposal, Cameron didn't want to rely solely on effects. The film's emotional impact came from the characters and their stories, with the visual spectacle serving as a backdrop to the human drama. Cameron's drive to make Titanic as realistic as possible was balanced by his desire to make it a universal, timeless story. He knew that a movie of this scale would require not just technological achievement, but also emotional resonance. The story of Titanic needed to transcend the tragedy of the ship's fate. It had to resonate with audiences of all backgrounds, regardless of when they were watching. In the end, Cameron's vision for Titanic was a perfect storm of technical innovation, historical accuracy, and heartfelt storytelling. he was able to blend these elements into a film that captured the imagination of audiences worldwide. And in doing so, he created something far beyond just a historical drama. Titanic became a cinematic masterpiece, a film that not only told the story of the ship, but also touched on universal themes of love, loss, and fate. Creating Titanic was a monumental task, one that required an unprecedented level of dedication and attention to detail. James Cameron didn't want to just tell the story of the Titanic. He wanted to bring it to life in a way that had never been done before. This meant that recreating the grandeur and scale of the Titanic itself was just as important as the love story at its heart. From building full-scale replicas of the ship to using cutting-edge technology to film the sinking, the making of Titanic was as epic as the story it was telling. The first major challenge was the ship itself. Cameron knew that in order to make the audience feel the weight of the disaster, the Titanic needed to be more than just a background. It needed to be a character in its own right. To do this, a team of thousands worked to build a near-exact replica of the ship, complete with its iconic features: the grand staircase, the first-class cabins, the dining room, and the deck where Jack and Rose share their unforgettable moment. The ship was constructed in a massive dry dock in Mexico, where a huge portion of the replica was built for filming. The set was so detailed that it included over 200,000 feet of wood for the floors, walls, and staircases. It was built to scale, with enough space to allow for sweeping shots of the ship's interiors. Cameron and his team even paid attention to the smallest details, like the china used in the dining room and the specific designs of the ship's deck chairs. Every corner of the set had to reflect the opulence and grandeur of the Titanic, and the production team worked tirelessly to ensure the ship looked authentic to the last detail. In addition to the physical sets, Cameron also used models and special effects to recreate the vastness of the Titanic. For exterior shots of the ship sailing through the ocean, filmmakers used a combination of large-scale models and computer-generated imagery, CGI. One of the most impressive feats was the use of miniatures, which were incredibly detailed and captured the essence of the ship's grand size. These models were filmed against green screens and seamlessly blended with shots of real ocean water, creating the illusion of a massive ocean liner. But the most challenging and crucial part of the production was the sinking sequence. Filming the destruction of the Titanic required a combination of practical effects and digital technology. Cameron used a huge hydraulic rig to simulate the sinking ship, gradually tipping it into the water. This allowed the crew to capture the precise angle of the ship as it tilted, creating the famous image of the ship splitting apart. The actual sinking was filmed in a giant water tank, where massive sections of the ship were submerged in water, while explosions and flooding were choreographed to mimic the tragic disaster. The visual effects team, led by Oscar-winning supervisor Rob Legato, used cutting-edge CGI to make the final moments of the Titanic's descent into the ocean look as realistic as possible. The ship's breakup was rendered in stunning detail, with the CGI complementing the physical models and real water effects. The digital technology also helped create scenes of chaos, with the sinking ship being filled with passengers scrambling to escape. Despite the heavy reliance on technology, Cameron insisted on using practical effects wherever possible. The film's emphasis on realism meant that many scenes were done on set, and the use of practical models, detailed sets, and real water helped make the disaster feel tangible and immediate. The production of Titanic was one of the largest and most expensive film productions ever made at the time, costing an estimated $200 million. But Cameron's ambition was clear. The film had to be as real and immersive as possible to make the story of the Titanic resonate with audiences. And in the end, all that effort paid off. From the grandiose interiors of the ship to the harrowing scenes of its sinking, Titanic was an unparalleled achievement in both set design and visual effects. The ship itself became a symbol of the film's dedication to historical accuracy, creating an emotional experience that felt both grand and intimate. Filming Titanic was more than just building a set. It was about building a world. Cameron's commitment to creating a faithful, immersive representation of the Titanic allowed the audience to feel the scale of the tragedy while also connecting to the characters' personal stories. It was a feat of filmmaking that combined art, history, and technology to create one of the most enduring films of all time. The heart and soul of Titanic are undoubtedly its characters, brought to life by two young, incredibly talented actors. Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack Dawson and Kate Winslet as Rose DeWitt Bukater. Their chemistry was central to the film's emotional impact, and their performances helped elevate Titanic from a historical epic to a timeless love story that captured the hearts of millions worldwide. At the time of Titanic's casting, both DiCaprio and Winslet were relatively unknown to mainstream audiences, though DiCaprio had already gained some recognition for his role in Romeo plus Juliet and What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Cameron knew that finding the right actors to portray Jack and Rose was crucial. He wanted two actors who could carry the weight of the film's emotional core. Two people who could connect with the audience while delivering performances that felt both genuine and larger than life. After an extensive casting process, Cameron selected DiCaprio for the role of Jack and Winslet for Rose, and the pairing would become one of the most iconic duos in cinematic history. For DiCaprio, Titanic was a career-defining role. Jack Dawson was the perfect vehicle for the actor to showcase his youthful exuberance, charm, and emotional depth. As Jack, DiCaprio portrayed a working-class artist from Wisconsin, full of wanderlust and an undeniable passion for life. Jack's relationship with Rose, a young woman trapped in a world of privilege and societal expectations, forms the emotional backbone of the film. DiCaprio was able to bring both heart and humor to the role, effortlessly drawing the audience in as Jack's innocent optimism collided with the tragic reality of the ship's fate. Kate Winslet, meanwhile, took on the role of Rose, a young woman from high society who feels suffocated by her family's expectations and the constraints of early 20th century societal norms. Rose's journey in Titanic is one of self-discovery, breaking free from the life she was born into and falling in love with Jack in the process. Winslet's portrayal was nothing short of breathtaking. Her performance conveyed both the strength and vulnerability of Rose, making her character both relatable and aspirational. Her chemistry with DiCaprio was palpable, making their romance feel immediate and powerful. Both actors underwent intense preparation for their roles, learning about the Titanic and the time period in which the film was set. DiCaprio, for example, spent hours researching the real Jack Dawson, a character inspired by the Titanic's passengers, though not based on a specific individual, to understand the mindset of a young man seeking adventure on the ill-fated ship. Winslet, on the other hand, worked hard to embody Rose's complex emotional journey, navigating the pressure of family expectations, societal pressures, and the emotional turmoil of her love for Jack. Their commitment to their characters allowed them to connect deeply with the audience, drawing viewers into the love story at the film's core. One of the most remarkable aspects of their performances was the chemistry between DiCaprio and Winslet. The two actors formed a strong bond off-screen, which translated beautifully into their on-screen romance. Their connection made the love story feel real and raw, providing the emotional depth that was necessary to carry the weight of the film's tragedy. The iconic scene where Jack sketches Rose, for example, was not just a pivotal moment in the film, it was a culmination of their developing relationship and a symbol of their intimate connection. The vulnerability and trust between the two characters in that scene echoed throughout the film and became one of the most memorable moments in cinematic history. It's also important to note that their performances were not just about their romantic dynamic. Both DiCaprio and Winslet brought emotional depth to their characters in the face of disaster. As the Titanic begins to sink, their individual journeys take on even greater significance. Jack, with his free-spirited, adventurous nature, is able to push Rose to break free from her constraints, while Rose's love for Jack gives her the courage to fight for survival against the forces of nature. Their bond becomes a symbol of hope, love, and perseverance, and DiCaprio and Winslet's emotional depth help make that connection believable and heartbreaking. The success of Titanic launched both actors into superstardom. DiCaprio, who had already become a teen heartthrob, found himself cemented as one of Hollywood's leading men, while Winslet's powerful performance earned her widespread acclaim and an Academy Award nomination. The film's success propelled their careers in different directions, but their collaboration on Titanic left an indelible mark on both their personal lives and their professional careers. Their performances, paired with Cameron's vision and the film's emotional storytelling, helped turn Titanic into the phenomenon it became, capturing the hearts of audiences for generations to come. In short, the performances of Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet are at the core of Titanic's enduring legacy. Their chemistry, emotional depth, and dedication to their roles were crucial in bringing the story of Jack and Rose to life. Their performances remain one of the most beloved aspects of the film, and they continue to be remembered as one of the most iconic duos in cinematic history. Without their passion and connection, Titanic wouldn't have resonated the way it did, and their legacy as the film's central couple remains a cornerstone of its lasting appeal. One of the most unforgettable elements of Titanic is its music, specifically the hauntingly beautiful song "My Heart Will Go On" by Celine Dion. The soundtrack for Titanic became as iconic as the film itself, and the music played a huge part in cementing the emotional impact the film had on audiences. The film's score, composed by James Horner, perfectly captured the sweeping drama, the romance, and the tragedy of the story. But it was Celine Dion's powerful ballad that became the heart of the movie, resonating with viewers long after they left the theatre. The song "My Heart Will Go On" was written by James Horner, the film's composer, Will Jennings, the lyricist, and performed by Celine Dion. When the song was first presented to the filmmakers, it was intended to be an instrumental piece for the score. However, Horner, who had already crafted the perfect instrumental theme for the film, was inspired to turn it into a full song with lyrics. The result was a track that perfectly captured the emotional core of the film. A love that transcends time and space, and a tragedy that stays with you forever. Celine Dion's voice became the voice of Titanic, with her soaring vocals imbuing the song with an emotional weight that perfectly matched the film's themes. The song plays during the emotional final scenes of the film, as Rose throws the heart of the ocean into the ocean, and its powerfully emotional refrain echoes the timeless connection between Jack and Rose. The combination of the heartbreaking visuals and Dion's emotive performance turned "My Heart Will Go On" into more than just a song. It became an anthem of love, loss, and eternal remembrance. "My Heart Will Go On" didn't just provide the emotional punch during the film, it also became a chart-topping success after the film's release. It went on to become one of the best-selling singles of all time, earning Grammy Awards, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year, as well as an Academy Award for Best Original Song. The song's enduring popularity solidified its place in pop culture, and it continues to be a beloved track even decades after its release. Beyond "My Heart Will Go On," James Horner's score for Titanic remains one of the most memorable soundtracks in film history. The sweeping orchestral compositions captured the grandeur of the Titanic, the scale of its sinking, and the intimacy of Jack and Rose's love story. Horner's ability to blend lush, cinematic music with intimate moments helped create the film's powerful emotional atmosphere. The film's themes are enhanced by Horner's composition, whether it's the soft, romantic piano motifs that accompany Jack and Rose's moments together, or the intense, dramatic orchestral arrangements that underscore the sinking. In addition to the film's theme song and score, the music of Titanic became synonymous with the film itself. The soundtrack album became one of the best-selling soundtracks in history, not just because of "My Heart Will Go On," but also because of the beautiful instrumentals that brought the world of Titanic to life. Music is a central part of any film, But in Titanic, it wasn't just a background element, it was essential to the experience. The music elevated the emotional stakes, intensifying the connection between the audience and the characters, as well as the emotional journey of the ship itself. In a way, the music of Titanic continues the story of the film, allowing the emotions and themes to live on. Every time My Heart Will Go On plays, it serves as a reminder of the love story between Jack and Rose, and the tragedy that befell the Titanic. Celine Dion's performance, combined with James Horner's stunning orchestral arrangements, created a soundtrack that will be remembered as much as the film itself. The music of Titanic helped elevate the film into something more than just a historical drama. It transformed it into a universal story of love, loss, and memory that continues to touch audiences worldwide. In the end, the music of Titanic remains an essential part of its legacy. It wasn't just a movie score, it was a musical journey that matched the grand scale of the film itself, and it became as much a part of Titanic's cultural impact as the love story between Jack and Rose. Whether it's through Celine Dion's unforgettable vocals or the sweeping orchestral score, the music of Titanic continues to live on in the hearts of its fans, making it a film that isn't just seen, but felt. While Titanic is undeniably a romance at its core, the film's portrayal of the Titanic disaster is what gives it the weight and emotional depth that resonates with audiences. James Cameron's meticulous attention to historical detail helped ground the film's fictional love story in the tragedy of the ship's real-life sinking, creating a blend of fact and fiction that felt authentic and powerful. However, Cameron also used creative license to weave a fictional narrative into the backdrop of the historical event, blending history with a personal story that has become iconic in its own right. Historical accuracy was paramount in Cameron's vision for Titanic. From the moment he began working on the project, he was determined to honor the memory of those who perished in the disaster. Cameron didn't want to simply recreate the sinking for cinematic spectacle. He wanted to make it as historically accurate as possible. This dedication to detail led him to research the Titanic's history extensively. He consulted experts, scoured historical records, and even made several dives to the wreckage of the Titanic itself, deep in the North Atlantic, to film actual footage of the site. The images he captured underwater were used in the film's prologue, grounding the story in the real tragedy that unfolded more than 80 years earlier. The Titanic itself was reconstructed with extraordinary care. Cameron and his production team recreated not only the ship's interiors, from the grand staircase to the opulent first-class dining rooms, but also its exterior, paying close attention to the ship's appearance at the time of its ill-fated maiden voyage. The ship's lavish design, built to convey both luxury and grandeur, was carefully replicated, from the decorative flourishes to the intricate details of the ship's exterior. Cameron even ensured that the props, costumes, and dialogue reflected the specific year of the ship's departure in 1912, all of which helped to give the film a sense of historical authenticity. As much as Cameron focused on historical fidelity, he also used creative license to shape the fictional romance between Jack and Rose. The love story itself, while deeply emotional and relatable, didn't exist in history. Jack Dawson, the free-spirited artist, and Rose DeWitt Bocator, the young woman from high society, were both created for the film, embodying the class divide and the spirit of rebellious youth against the backdrop of a doomed vessel. Their love story, while fictional, is deeply symbolic. Jack represents freedom and adventure, while Rose embodies the constraints of society and class expectations. Their relationship was used to humanize the broader historical tragedy, making it more personal and giving audiences a reason to connect with the story. The choice to focus on this relationship also allowed Cameron to explore broader themes of class division and the social stratification that defined life on the Titanic. The first-class passengers, who lived in luxury and comfort, were in stark contrast to the third-class passengers, who were crammed into tight quarters and had fewer resources. The social contrast between Jack and Rose's worlds highlighted the deep inequality that existed even on a ship that was designed to be a floating palace. The tragedy of the Titanic served as a backdrop for the personal struggles between the characters and the obstacles they had to overcome, whether they were societal or personal. Cameron also took creative liberties with how the sinking itself was portrayed. The film's dramatic depiction of the Titanic's final moments was far more intense and emotionally charged than the actual event, but it captured the essence of the panic, confusion, and chaos that accompanied the disaster. Scenes like the ship splitting in two, people falling into the icy waters, and the tragic heroism displayed during the evacuation all contributed to the emotional weight of the film. While not all of these moments are historically accurate in the exact way they happened, they reflect the emotional truth of what the passengers may have experienced during the final hours of the Titanic. For example, the film's portrayal of the character's fate, Jack's ultimate sacrifice and Rose's escape, was not based on any historical individuals, but served as a metaphor for the human cost of the disaster. While it was true that many women and children were saved, the film created an emotional narrative that centered around Jack and Rose, with Jack's death symbolizing the loss of innocence and hope, while Rose's survival represented the endurance of the human spirit. While Cameron's film was filled with historical details, the focus was not on recounting the factual history of the Titanic's sinking, but on creating an emotional and dramatic narrative that would resonate with audiences. The combination of historical accuracy and creative storytelling allowed Titanic to remain grounded in the tragic reality of the disaster, while still offering a poignant and relatable love story. This balance between fact and fiction is one of the reasons why the film has remained so powerful. It is a tale of love, loss, and survival set against one of the most devastating events in modern history. In the end, Titanic is both a tribute to the lives lost in the disaster and a piece of fictional storytelling that uses history as a framework to tell a timeless, emotional tale. Cameron's ability to blend the two successfully is one of the reasons the film has had such a lasting impact. By honoring the real tragedy of the Titanic and creating a love story that continues to capture hearts, Titanic stands as a film that is both historically respectful and emotionally universal. When Titanic was released in December 1997, no one could have predicted the level of success it would achieve. Directed by James Cameron and carrying a hefty production budget of around $200 million, the film's success seemed far from certain. But once it hit theaters, Titanic became a global sensation, not only becoming the highest-grossing film of all time, but also remaining a dominant force in cinemas for over a decade. From the very beginning, Titanic's box office performance was nothing short of extraordinary. Within just a few weeks, the film surpassed the $100 million mark, and by its second month in theaters, it had made over $300 million worldwide. Its success wasn't limited to the US. Audiences across the globe flocked to see the film, making it a cultural phenomenon that transcended borders. Titanic went on to gross over $2.1 billion worldwide, a staggering achievement that set it apart as not just a successful film, but an unprecedented box office event. For comparison, at the time, Titanic overtook Jurassic Park, released in 1993, as the highest-grossing film in history. The film's incredible performance was driven by a mix of factors, including its emotional appeal, spectacular visuals, and the cultural zeitgeist it tapped into. The romance between Jack and Rose, along with the historical tragedy of the ship's sinking, resonated with a wide variety of audiences, leading to repeat viewings and sustained box office revenue over months. Many people went to see the film more than once, and for some, Titanic became an event in itself, a film that was meant to be experienced in the theatre, rather than simply watched and forgotten. One of the most remarkable things about Titanic's box office success was how it sustained its momentum over time. While many blockbusters see their box office numbers dip after opening weekends, Titanic held steady, thanks to word of mouth and widespread critical acclaim. The film's release was perfectly timed during the winter months, allowing it to perform well during the holiday season and into the early part of the year, when there was less competition from other blockbuster films. Its long-lasting presence in theaters is another reason for its phenomenal earnings. The film also attracted a wide demographic, drawing in moviegoers of all ages, from teens looking for a romance to older audiences interested in the historical aspects of the story. The universal appeal of Titanic made it a film that appealed to people of different generations, ensuring its place as a must-see event for the year. The film's romantic narrative combined with the tragic sinking gave it a broad emotional impact that connected deeply with audiences, contributing to its repeat business and long theatre run. In addition to its box office performance, Titanic was a landmark film in terms of marketing and promotion. The film's promotional campaign built anticipation and excitement, especially with the release of the song "My Heart Will Go On," performed by Celine Dion. The song became synonymous with the film, and its popularity added to the film's visibility, helping to draw even more people to the theaters. The combination of powerful visuals, a heart-wrenching story, and an unforgettable soundtrack created a perfect storm for Titanic's success. In fact, the film's influence extended beyond the cinema. It became a cultural event, with references appearing everywhere, from clothing trends inspired by Rose's famous flying scene to Halloween costumes recreating the iconic outfits. Titanic wasn't just a movie, it was a phenomenon that defined a generation. Titanic's incredible box office success set a new precedent for how films could perform at the global box office. It remained the highest-grossing film in history for over a decade, until it was surpassed by Avatar in 2009, another film directed by James Cameron. However, Titanic's legacy as a box office juggernaut is undeniable. The film's $2.1 billion total, coupled with its enduring popularity in theaters and on home video, solidified its place in cinematic history. The sheer scale of Titanic's success is a testament to its ability to captivate audiences and stay relevant for years. It wasn't just a blockbuster, it was a cultural event, one that people remember fondly and still refer to today. And while the technology and trends in filmmaking have evolved since its release, Titanic remains a shining example of how a film can transcend its medium and leave an indelible mark on both cinema and popular culture. Even decades after its release, Titanic remains one of the most iconic films in cinematic history. Its cultural impact extends far beyond the silver screen, and its influence continues to shape the way audiences engage with movies, love stories, and historical dramas. The film's combination of romance, tragedy, and stunning visuals has left an enduring mark on both the film industry and pop culture, ensuring that Titanic is not just a film, but a lasting cultural event. One of the key elements of Titanic's legacy is its role in reshaping the landscape of blockbuster filmmaking. The film's massive success demonstrated the power of epic storytelling combined with groundbreaking technology. James Cameron's meticulous attention to historical detail, paired with his ability to weave a universally relatable love story into the larger narrative of the Titanic disaster, set a new standard for how historical events could be portrayed on screen. Filmmakers in the years following Titanic have looked to it as a model for creating films that balance spectacle with emotional depth. It proved that audiences wanted more than just special effects. They wanted a story that connected them to something real, something universal. But Titanic wasn't just a success at the box office. It also had a profound cultural impact. It became a cultural touchstone in the late 90s, influencing fashion, music, and even language. Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On" became an anthem for the film, playing on repeat everywhere from radio stations to weddings, and it remains one of the best-selling singles of all time. The image of Jack and Rose standing at the bow of the ship with arms outstretched became one of the most iconic poses in film history, often recreated in pop culture, from parodies to homage scenes in other movies and TV shows. The themes of Titanic also found a place in global conversations. The film's exploration of class division, romantic love, and tragic loss resonated with audiences of all ages, the relationship between Jack and Rose, which transcends the boundaries of class and privilege, struck a chord with viewers, leading to conversations about how love can challenge societal expectations. Meanwhile, the film's portrayal of the Titanic disaster itself, the panic, the heroism, the fear, prompted widespread reflection on human resilience in the face of disaster. The historical tragedy became a vehicle for emotional storytelling that still feels relevant today. Even as time has passed, the popularity of Titanic has not waned. The film has been re-released in theaters multiple times, including a 3D version in 2012 to mark its 100th anniversary. The 3D re-release sparked a new wave of interest in the film, introducing it to a new generation of viewers, while allowing longtime fans to experience the film in a new format. Titanic has continued to capture the imagination of audiences worldwide, from its original theatre run to its presence on streaming platforms. It's one of those rare films that continues to draw new viewers while still maintaining a beloved status with those who remember its first release. Titanic's legacy in theme parks and attractions is another testament to its enduring popularity. The film's influence can be seen in places like the Titanic Museum, attraction in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where visitors can explore the history of the ship through exhibits, artifacts, and recreated rooms from the ship. The museum and other related attractions not only celebrate the real history of the Titanic, but also highlight how the film has brought renewed interest in this tragic event. The film's pop culture references also continue to this day, whether it's a quick reference to Titanic in TV shows, memes on social media, or parodies in comedy sketches. The film has permeated every corner of the pop culture landscape. For many, Titanic is not just a movie, it's a cultural event that has been referenced, celebrated, and honored for over 2 decades. In terms of film history, Titanic stands as a prime example of what happens when ambition, innovation, and storytelling come together. Its success reshaped how films were made, how they were marketed, and how they could impact audiences. It proved that a film could blend historical events with heartfelt personal stories and still achieve commercial success on an unprecedented scale. As the years go by, the timelessness of Titanic only becomes clearer. It remains a powerful, poignant film that speaks to universal human experiences. The thrill of love, the heartbreak of loss, and the indomitable spirit of survival. With its unforgettable performances, sweeping visuals, and haunting music, Titanic has proven itself not just a fleeting moment in film history, but a part of the cultural fabric that continues to capture hearts. It's a film that will always be remembered, not just for its technical achievements or box office success, but for the emotional impact it left on an entire generation. The success of Titanic wasn't just measured by its massive box office revenue and cultural influence. It was also marked by a record-breaking number of awards and accolades that cemented its place in cinematic history. The film's incredible achievement at the 1998 Academy Awards and across the broader film industry was a testament to the exceptional work put into every aspect of the production, from the direction and performances to the technical achievements in filmmaking. At the Academy Awards, Titanic became a true Oscar juggernaut. The film was nominated for 14 Academy Awards, tying with All About Eve for the most nominations in Oscar history. Of those 14 nominations, Titanic walked away with an impressive 11 Academy Awards, tying the record for the most wins by a single film, a record that would be matched by The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King years later. Among the prestigious awards it won were Best Picture, which was the most significant win for Titanic, as it honored the film as a whole and solidified its place as one of the greatest films ever made. Winning Best Director for James Cameron recognized his incredible vision, dedication, and meticulous attention to detail, which were key to making the film a success. The film also won Best Art Direction for its stunning recreation of the Titanic itself, capturing the lavish interiors, ornate details, and grandiose scale of the ship. The set design was crucial to making the audience feel like they were actually walking the decks of the legendary vessel. Best cinematography went to Russell Carpenter, whose work in capturing the beauty of the ship, as well as the tragic destruction of it, added depth and emotion to the story. And of course, the film won Best Original Song for My Heart Will Go On, written by James Horner and Will Jennings, and performed by Celine Dion. This song became synonymous with Titanic and has remained one of the best-selling singles of all time, with its emotional power capturing the hearts of millions. In addition to the 11 Academy Awards, Titanic also received Golden Globe Awards, including Best Motion Picture, Drama and Best Director for James Cameron. These wins set the stage for the film's continued dominance during awards season and contributed to its momentum. Celine Dion also won a Golden Globe for her performance of My Heart Will Go On, further cementing the song's place as an essential part of the film's emotional impact. Titanic also earned recognition at the BAFTA Awards, winning Best Film and Best Director, among others. The film was a hit with critics, and its critical acclaim helped it further solidify its place as a cultural milestone. Beyond the major awards, Titanic was also honored with numerous nominations and wins in other prestigious ceremonies, such as the Critics' Choice Awards, People's Choice Awards, and the Screen Actors Guild Awards. These wins were a reflection of the film's broad appeal, not just to critics, but to audiences who embraced it as an emotional and captivating story. It was a film that resonated with people from all walks of life, and the recognition it received was a direct result of its universal themes of love, loss, and survival. The success in the awards circuit helped Titanic achieve something even more significant: long-term cultural relevance. The recognition it received at the Academy Awards, along with the Golden Globes and BAFTAs, opened doors for other films in the genre to be taken seriously by the industry. At the time, epic historical romances were often dismissed, but Titanic proved that such films could be more than just spectacle. They could be works of art worthy of critical acclaim. Even now, Titanic continues to hold a special place in the hearts of film lovers and critics alike. Its record-breaking Oscar wins, countless accolades, and widespread recognition have kept it in the public consciousness as one of the greatest films ever made. The film's success in the awards season was just as much about its ability to connect with audiences emotionally as it was about its technical achievements. James Cameron's Titanic redefined what was possible in filmmaking, and the awards it garnered were a reflection of the immense talent and hard work that went into making it. In the end, Titanic's awards and accolades not only cemented its place in the pantheon of film history, but also served as a testament to the incredible work of everyone involved in bringing this cinematic masterpiece to life. From the direction to the performances, from the set design to the music, every element of the film was recognized for its contribution to a story that continues to captivate audiences and inspire filmmakers around the world. As we come to the end of our journey through Titanic, it's clear that this film isn't just another entry in Hollywood history. It's a cinematic legacy that has continued to captivate audiences for over 2 decades. From its groundbreaking visual effects to its unforgettable performances, Titanic stands as one of the greatest films ever made, transcending time, borders, and generations. Its cultural impact is undeniable, and its story, though set in the past, remains deeply relevant today. At its heart, Titanic is more than a historical recounting of a tragedy. It's a love story that connects deeply with human emotions, exploring themes of passion, loss, and survival. Jack and Rose's romance, born from 2 different worlds, is timeless in its portrayal of the human spirit's ability to endure, even in the face of catastrophe. It is a story of love that knows no boundaries, and this universal theme continues to resonate with audiences every time the film is watched. The film's legacy isn't just confined to the silver screen. It has influenced an entire generation of filmmakers, storytellers, and even ordinary people who continue to reference its iconic scenes, quotes, and imagery. The haunting beauty of Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On, the iconic I'm the King of the World moment, and the stunning imagery of the sinking ship have become ingrained in our cultural consciousness. Titanic's reach is immeasurable, It's still being celebrated through anniversary re-releases, exhibitions, theme park attractions, and even parodies. And yet, for all its visual grandeur and box office success, Titanic remains, at its core, a deeply human story. Its strength lies not just in its technical achievements or the scale of its production, but in the emotional depth and universal themes it explores. The journey of Jack and Rose, the tragedy of the Titanic's sinking, and the timeless music that accompanies it are a testament to how powerful a film can be when it combines historical accuracy, breathtaking visuals, and emotional storytelling. Even as time goes on, Titanic will continue to be cherished by audiences new and old, its timeless appeal undiminished by the passing years. The film will forever be remembered as not just a massive achievement in cinema, but as a cultural touchstone, a film that has and will continue to transcend generations, inspiring and touching viewers long into the future. As we say goodnight to Titanic's story, it's clear that its legacy is far from over. It remains a film that will live on in the hearts of movie lovers everywhere, reminding us that some stories, especially those of love, loss, and the human spirit, will always be remembered, no matter how much time passes. Thank you for joining us in revisiting this timeless classic. Whether you're hearing its story for the first time or the 100th, Titanic remains a film that will continue to capture hearts for years to come.